If you've been researching living in Prince George, there's a good chance your YouTube or Google results have included some pretty intense headlines. Maybe even you've seen phrases like crime capital or one of the most dangerous cities. So if you're moving to Prince George with your family and your number one question is Prince George safe? That's completely understandable. This is the number one question I get from relocators. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the honest truth about crime in Prince George, what the actual numbers say, including how the overall Crime Severity Index has dropped recently, how crime is really experienced on the ground, including the reality that some areas may have higher crime rates, and how I help families find those secure and supportive family hubs and avoid the obvious hotspots. By the end, you'll have a calm, fact-based picture of safety in Prince George, so you can decide whether it feels right for your family. So let's dive in to the real story behind crime and safety in Prince George. Let's start by acknowledging the stigma. For years, national and provincial stories have pointed out that Prince George has had one of the higher Crime Severity Index scores in BC, and at times has been called the province's crime capital. The Crime Severity Index, or CSI, is a Statistics Canada measure that looks not just at how many crimes are reported, but how serious they are, and summarizes that as a single number for each community. So those headlines aren't made up, they are based on real data. But headlines are also designed to get clicks, and don't always tell you whether things are getting better or worse, how crime is distributed between neighborhoods, and what it actually feels like in the family areas where you'd likely live. That's where context matters. Now, let's talk about the most important fact, the trend. Recent Statistics Canada data shows that the overall Crime Severity Index has dropped, both nationally and here in Prince George. Across Canada, the CSI decreased about 4% in 2024 after a few years of increases. For Prince George, the latest report showed that the city's overall CSI fell to about 199.8 in 2024. That's roughly a 13 to 14% decrease from the previous year, with violent CSI down around 5% and non-violent CSI down close to 18%. Local RCMP stats also show an 11% drop in property crime in 2024. So, yes, the value is still higher than the national average, and Prince George remains one of the higher ranked cities in BC for crime severity, and we don't necessarily have the latest updated 2025 numbers. But the key point is this: the overall Crime Severity Index has dropped, and the recent trend is moving in the right direction. That's important if you're trying to separate today's reality from 5 or 10 years ago. Reputations, they matter. But numbers don't tell you where you're actually going to feel safe. One of the most important things to understand about crime in Prince George is that it's not evenly spread. Just like almost every Canadian city, some areas may have higher crime rates and others are quieter, family-oriented pockets. A City of Prince George analysis looking at neighborhood-level data found that crime was most concentrated downtown and in the Bull area, especially in commercial zone with lots of retail and services. And crime rates were lower in areas outside the Bull, where many of the newer suburbs and family neighborhoods are located. That lines up with what many locals say anecdotally. The rougher streets tend to be closer to downtown core and a fewer well-known blocks where you see more visible street issues, homelessness, and open drug use. The family hubs, areas like College Heights, Heritage, much of the heart, and newer suburban pockets feel very different on the ground. Kids riding bikes, people walking dogs after dinner, neighbors who know each other. That doesn't mean any neighborhood is crime-free. There's no such thing in any city. But it does mean that in practice, the danger you're reading about online is often localized, not citywide. This is where local knowledge and honest guidance really matter, especially when you're buying a home in Prince George and want to buy right. This video isn't about fear. It's about being prepared and supported, the same way you would be in any Canadian city. Here's how I think about safety for my clients. First, pick the right area for your risk comfort. If you want the most family hub feel, we'll focus on neighborhoods where my clients consistently tell me they feel secure and connected. College Heights, Heritage, and other established family pockets outside the Bull. If you're more of an investor looking at value-add opportunities, we'll talk candidly about the rougher streets and how that impacts both risk and return. Second, use the data that's available. The City of Prince George publishes crime maps and open data that show where different types of incidents are reported. I also encourage people to read RCMP updates, and when they arrive, talk talk to neighbors, and check out in an area at different times of day. Third, do the common sense safety basics. As with any city, simple habits go a long way. Lock doors and vehicles, use good exterior lighting, don't leave valuables in your car, and consider a camera doorbell or basic home security if that helps you feel at ease. RCMP and community groups run programs like Rural Crime Watch to encourage people to look out for each other and report suspicious activity. My job, if you're relocating to Prince George, is not to pretend every block is perfect. It's to help you avoid obvious hotspots, understand the trade-offs, and land in a place where you and your family feel secure and supported. So, is Prince George safe? Here's the honest answer. On paper, Prince George has historically had a high crime severity index than many other Canadian cities, and that's where the headlines come from. And recently, the overall crime index has dropped. Violent and nonviolent CSI have both trended down, and property crime has shown meaningful declines, even though we have had some pretty major fires lately. On the ground, some areas may have higher crime rates and visible social issues, especially downtown and parts of the Bull, but those are relatively concentrated in the family-oriented neighborhoods. Where most of my clients used to live, the day-to-day feeling is one of knowing your neighborhoods. Kids walking to nearby schools and people walking dogs after dinner and using local parks. Not perfect, not crime-free, but very much a normal Canadian city experience when you're in the right pocket and using normal urban common sense. If safety is your top concern, that doesn't mean you have to rule out living in Prince George. It means you should get clear on your comfort level. Use both the data and the local insight and choose a Prince George neighborhood that lines up with the security and community you want. Your family's security is my top priority, and although Prince George has had a lot of large headlines lately, it still remains a very wonderful place to live in general. I hope this deep dive gave you the straight local insight you needed to feel secure and supported in your next decision. If you found value here, share this video with a friend who's also considering a move, or tell me what Prince George topic I should handle next. The easiest way to connect is to call, text, or email. All the details are on the screen. Make sure you tap that subscribe button and bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.